This is Heather Bross from the South Carolina Department of Education Personalized Learning team. Welcome to a quick tour of how the South Carolina Teaching Standards 4.0 element, respectful culture, connects to the Measuring PCBL toolkit. The purpose of this video is to provide a short introduction of how the Measuring PCBL toolkit outcomes can help measure growth in respectful culture. If you haven't watched the welcome video in the header of the Crosswalk document that explains our overall purpose, we suggest watching that video before you continue with this one. The Measuring PCBL toolkit focuses on 8 outcomes that we believe are distinctive of a high-quality PCBL system. Belonging is the PCBL outcome we will focus on today. The toolkit was created to help make measuring PCBL impacts as accessible as possible for classroom teachers, school coaches and leaders, or anyone wanting to document the effects of PCBL practices for learners. Let's dig in and learn a little more about the connections between respectful culture and the Measuring PCBL toolkit outcomes. If you want to measure your impact in a respectful culture, you could use one of the following Measuring PCBL outcomes: support, engagement, agency, self-efficacy, mastery, orientation, or belonging. We know that in order to have a respectful culture, teachers and students need to work in partnership to build and agree on how to foster a community of learners who feel safe, have autonomy and voice, engage in caring and respectful interactions, celebrate each other's differences, demonstrate kindness, and promote positive connections or relationships. So let's consider how you could use belonging to measure impact in the 4.0 element of respectful culture. Let's begin by level setting. Why do we feel a sense of belonging is important? Well, we know that belonging is a fundamental element in human motivation, along with having autonomy and feeling competent. We also know students who have a sense of belonging have the emotional and personal bonds that exist between people that reflect their feeling cared for, valued, and connected to others. We bet that students having a sense of belonging in their learning community is one of the top priorities for you as an educator as we prepare students for college and career. The indicators for the 4.0 rubric, respectful culture, and the PCBL outcome, belonging, can work together to support teachers in collecting valuable data. For example, on the 4.0 rubric, teachers are expected to have lessons that will foster teacher to student and student to student interactions that demonstrate care, kindness, and respect for others, and celebrate and acknowledge all students' backgrounds and cultures. The belonging data collection tool has survey questions that ask learners if they feel cared for, valued by adults and peers, if they feel that their thoughts and perspectives are valued at school. Using the survey questions to find out how well students feel a sense of belonging can be used by teachers to inform and grow their instructional practices in this area and help to build a respectful culture for all. Let's click into the crosswalk and see how we might be able to use the data collection tools in the Measuring PCBL toolkit. Let's imagine I am a high school teacher and I want to focus on the 4.0 rubric element of respectful culture because I know how students feel within their learning community has a direct connection to their success in learning, and that the feeling supports collective efficacy and collaboration in their daily learning experiences. I know that there's strong connections between students feeling a sense of belonging and promoting a respectful culture. So I'm going to click on the Belonging tab. And I see that there are several prompts and questions that I might be able to use to create a survey, maybe informed journal prompts or even exit tickets for my students. I notice that each prompt has a code for which grade level it best fits. Since I'm a high school teacher, I want to make sure that the prompts I select fit where my learners are. So I might pick a prompt that I can use the Likert scale with. For example, in my classroom or my school, I feel that my interests, my beliefs, and are, even if they're different from others, are respected and valued. in my classroom or my school. Who I am, my family, my culture, my beliefs is a valued part of what I contribute to community. I might also select an open-ended question like this. How do my relationships with my peers and my teachers make me feel connected to my school community? Once I've decided on the prompts or the questions that I'd like to use, I now need to decide what that learning experience is going to look like and what format I'm going to use. So I may select a talk protocol to drive a class discussion in which students share what they think feeling respected or valued, or what a supportive relationship looks like in our classroom and why it's important. By posing these questions as a chalk talk, students can share their own thoughts independently first, and then we would facilitate a gallery walk where students read others and reflect and respond with respectful comments to what their ideas or their thoughts were. By offering this protocol, students have ownership in the process and can now find agreement on what a sense of belonging is, how their community of learners should act to build a sense of belonging, and why it's important to encourage belonging in their own classroom. This data can then inform future class discussions through the connections that are being made, while also allowing options for class goal setting based on the agreed upon clear expectations and common shared language we now have. As their teacher, I now also have the option to use Chalk Talk for all or just one of my classes, depending on what I was trying to measure. After collecting the results from the gallery walk, observing connections that are being made and conversations that are being had, I can now begin to analyze this data by myself, with my coach, or with a colleague to see what I notice and what I might wonder from students sharing their sense of belonging. If I need to follow up and host some student panel interviews, I could do that. Then I could use this data to inform future learning experiences based on what my students said. For example, this data could inform more collaboration or group work, more learning experiences that involved shared family or personal experiences to help make connections, more participation in feedback loops to share class and school-based decisions, more self-regulation with self-assessments and reflections. Now, if my SLO was focused in the same 4.0 element, I could even use this as a pre and post data related to one of the competencies I might be working on to integrate in my class. So if you are wondering if you can do this with more than one outcome at a time, the answer is yes, you can. You can use the tabs below as a menu to pull from as it relates to the 4.0 element that you're trying to measure. Now, what if I'm a school leader and instructional coach? How do I use the crosswalk? Well, if your school has identified a few 4.0 elements that are unfocused for the year, then you could ask everyone to focus on the same one or give them a choice between a few. Then, as the coach of the school leader, you could also create a survey with prompts and questions from the data collection tools that apply to the 4.0 element that you want to focus on. Have your teachers give this survey to one class during a given class period. And then as a whole school, you could now reflect on that data. Then as you meet in PLCs, teachers could discuss wonders, noticings, and set their own growth goals based on the data from their students. Now, this is just a few ways that you can leverage the connection between the 4.0 element respectful culture and the data collection tools in the Measuring PCBL toolkit. Now it's your turn to start thinking about which Measuring PCBL toolkit outcome you want to focus on and explore the survey prompts and the questions. We love to partner with our educators, so please remember you can always reach out to your regional coach by going to personalizesc.ed.sce.gov/contact-us.